I know you can't see me, but trust me, I'm here. Hang on one sec. This thing is so big that all you can see is my head above the hood. This 2023 Cadillac Escalade-V is insane in so many ways. As you can see, this is insanely big and weighs a crazy 6,200 pounds. But if you're going to be crazy, you better be crazy good, and this one is. Before I tell you what makes this thing insanely good, why don't I just show you? What you just heard is because of this V badge. This is not an ordinary Escalade, it's so much more. This is a hand-built supercharged V8 built by Kathy Walker that makes this Cadillac so special. 682 horsepower, 653 pound-feet of torque, enough to get this beast from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. These V-Series Cadillacs are so cool, and I'm glad that they decided to V up this Cadillac Escalade. The engine in here is the same thing that you'd find in Cadillac's CT5 Blackwing Edition. And so what you end up with is the quickest bust the world has ever seen. Everything about this Cadillac is massive, starting with the grille. Cadillac spared no expense with this Escalade-V. You have these huge vertical front lights, classic Escalade looks. There's a tiny little camera here on the front grille, and Cadillac's done something pretty cool with it, which I'll show you in a bit. Massive wheels, rotors, and red brake calipers. Would you expect anything less? Just like in the front, you have huge vertical tail lights, again, signature Cadillac. The best part about what you see back here are these amazing quad tailpipes. Even in 2024, when everything's being electrified, you can thank Cadillac for continuing to build these animals. Think of this machine as your Corvette Z06 that could also haul around all of the people and junk you'd want. If you've seen my videos on the Corvette Z06 and the C8 Corvette, you know how much of a fan I am of American muscle. And this one is as muscly as it gets. In fact, let me start this beast up one more time. Amazing, right? If you don't want to wake up your neighbors every day, do not get this Escalade-V. I didn't capture this on video, but just 2 seconds ago, there was a row of Corvettes and Lambos and Porsches that drove by. I bet I could hang with those people in this 682 horsepower machine. The brilliant thing about this machine is this 7-seater Z06 is really nice and comfortable. With this Escalade, you get that growl and a pretty upscale interior. Great seats up front, roomy and spacious, and a pretty good driving position. Really wide center console area and lots of places to store your stuff. Nice big cup holders, pretty big center console with an organizer tray. If you're gonna ride around in style and comfort, you can't do much better than the Escalade. This Escalade has automatic running boards that pop out when you open the door, but if you're standing too close to the door, watch out because they're gonna hit your leg. This has got a really nice curved OLED display. The resolution on this is great, slightly laggy when you're trying to move screens. You have a lot of options here you can customize. Drive mode with V mode is what you'd want to be in, maximizing steering performance, engine shift, engine sound. You can automatically get this to change ride height to make it easier to get in and out, and change all of your options with the remote. The way the display is laid out reminds me of the C8 Z06 that I drove recently. This is, after all, a 7-seater Z06. All of the options and menu items here are pretty easy to use. The best part about what they've done though is this center display. Remember the camera up front I was showing you? You get that same camera view in your dash, which is really cool, and the resolution is excellent. This is the AR camera option. All digital display with this menu on the side, really nicely done. You also have night vision and a heads-up display. With this 6,200 pound Escalade, of course you have a trailering option. There's a V button here to put it into V mode, but this one should actually be on the steering wheel. It's a touchscreen, but you also have a dial here if you prefer. I'm glad that there's an easy to access volume button. Easily accessible climate controls on the dash. My only complaint with the interior is if they did something a little more with the door paneling and some of the interior trim. Overall, it's a little too plain, and for something that costs this much, they could have done a little bit more on that front. You have individual captain seat in the back with armrests that go up and down, and you can move your seat front and back as well and tilt the back seat. So nice and comfortable to get to your right position. Whether you're a kid or an adult, you have plenty of entertainment back here with these big screens staring you right in your face. You can watch Hulu, YouTube Kids, or plug in your own device. And Cadillac gets you headphones so you can be at peace while you have your driver speeding down the highway at 150 miles an hour. Go faster, come on! Climate control in the back and retractable cup holders. Then you have a nice, easy pass-through to get to the back seat. The back seat is not just for kids. As an adult, you have a decent amount of room. Of course, if you're 6 feet or taller, it might be a really tight fit. But somebody like me, 5'10", not bad back here. And you have smallish cup holders also. You could also fold the seat all the way down to give you a ton of room for storage. This is a bit surprising. You actually don't have a lot of room back here unless you flip down the seats, which thankfully it's easy to do. You have a couple buttons right here. With all the seats down, this thing can turn into the bed of a truck. If all of this space in this Escalade doesn't satisfy you, then something's wrong with you. What I find astonishing about what Cadillac did with the Escalade is that if you just drive normally, it's really comfortable, plush, cushy ride. You wouldn't know exactly what's under the hood. But the minute you step on the throttle, there's so much exhaust noise that comes in, it's crazy. The tuning on this thing is so good. Especially if I push the V mode button, there's so much crackling and popping that goes on. I can't believe how much of it comes inside the cabin. And the 682 horsepower, wow. Incredible noise. Four and a half seconds is quick, but what you really appreciate and love about this thing is that amazing Z06-like noise. The crackling and popping just won't stop. Anytime you lift off the throttle pedal, that's all you hear. But you know what? If you want all that noise to go away, just get out of V mode and it goes back into complete smoothness. 6,200 pounds, of course it needs a 6.2 liter V8 that's supercharged, 682 horsepower, 12 more than the Z06. Not that you'd compare this to a Z06, but I just can't help myself. I wasn't expecting the ride on this to be as good as it is. It's very comfortable, absorbs all the bumps, and it's also really quiet inside, except for the exhaust. The beautiful thing is you don't hear a lot of wind noise or road noise, but what you hear is the most important pieces of it, which is the exhaust. I would have liked to hear a little bit more of the supercharger whine. It comes in very faintly, but that would have just added to the experience. Not that I'm complaining much about the amazing V8 noise. The brakes are a little spongy, but it does a decent job of slowing this massive thing down. The way it just roars to life, unbelievable. I don't know how they managed to pull this off. There's a lot going on in terms of displays. If you have your AR camera on, you have this whole visual in front of you, and you have your full digital rear view mirror. It's just a lot going on all at the same time. The exhaust noises are so good, especially considering that it's almost filtered out to where you don't hear anything else except for the exhaust noise, that half the cost of this vehicle must have gone into getting the exhaust note just right. And I'm happy to tell you that they nailed it. It's perfect. Right now, if you've seen my other videos, you know that I drive something that has zero noise, but I do miss this. I miss having a V8, I miss having those engine noises, so one of these days I'll have to find myself in one again. As long as GM and Ford are still in business, fortunately, I hope, fingers crossed, cars like this continue to be made. Considering the size of this thing, 6,200 pounds, Cadillac's made it pretty easy to drive. Of course, having all that V-power helps, but even if it didn't have that much power, just the overall stability, ride quality, and balance, it's really good. The 682 horsepower monster does not come cheap. This one is over $162,000, but this one also is a one-of-a-kind monster Where else could you get something with this much power and this much space that's also as refined as this? This thing can be something for a lot of different kinds of people. Gearheads like me, somebody that needs status symbol, or somebody that just needs to be driven around in something really quick and big. If you want something different, unique, that most people don't have, then this is the one to get, but it'll cost you some money. If I had the garage big enough to hold this and the money, I would have this sitting next to my C8 Z06. Perfect combination of cars. This car right now is for sale at Covert Buick GMC. Check them out if you need a used vehicle. They're always getting really cool used cars just like this one. And thanks to them for letting me borrow this one for some time.